In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the latest English Whisky Festival in Birmingham, in my city. And I'm gonna tell you about my experience, about the whiskey which I've been tasting there, and the people which I met and I spoken to. So, let's go. Hello and welcome back. My name is Vlad, and in today's video I'm gonna be taking you to a little trip. I'm gonna take you around the latest edition, the third edition of English Whisky Festival in Birmingham, where I've been chatting with loads of people, and I've been trying loads of nice English whiskies, to be honest. So when I just get into the building, on my left hand side I met Piotr from the Bimber distillery, from the London distillery. We all know the Bimber, to be honest. This is not very new, but it's like 8-9 years old distillery located in London. And I had a chat with Piotr. He told me about the current situation in the Bimber distillery, about the new releases from the Shoulder of Giants edition, and I have tried the one of the newest edition of Shoulders of Giants, and that was Einstein edition. That was a single cask tawny port Finnish whiskey, 58.3% of ABV. On the nose, very full, rich, very fruity, like we can imagine whiskey from the port casks. Loads of red fruits, loads of cocoa, loads of coffee, loads of chocolate. On the taste, thick, oily, beautiful mouth coating whiskey, quite intense, kind of dry on the finish, but still very lovely whiskey. My next stop, Spirit of Birmingham Distillery, where I had the chat with Tony, the owner of the distillery, and he gave me kind of special whiskey, to be honest, because they don't have the official whiskey on the market yet. I think the first whiskey should come about April, May next year, but they've got some casks in stock which they're actually over 3 years old now, and that bottle was created especially for this festival by Tony and Johnny, and that was actually combination of ex-bourbon Buffalo Trace casks and the English virgin oak casks, so kind of marriage of the casks, so 58%. And I need to say, this whiskey impressed me a lot. I've been trying loads of new makes from the Spirit of Birmingham, because I know that Tony is kind of experimenting with the new make. So there was like a mash of the different grains, or he also made a single malt whiskey. But in this case, actually this whiskey was very intrigued. I've been intrigued by this whiskey. Loads of chocolate, loads of coffee, loads of dirtiness, caramel, vanilla, orange peels, very intense on the nose, very thick and oily on the nose, very impressive. On the palate, beautiful, oily, sweet, loads of maltiness, kind of graininess on the palate, and that kind of slightly honey sweetness with that dark chocolate, with the coffee, with the cocoa powder, with the orange. Very oily whiskey, that's the most important. Really oily whiskey, beautifully mouth coating with the long finish. Something very special to me, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to the next year, and I'm looking forward to try the first official release of the Spirit of Birmingham whiskey. My next stop was the Cotswolds Distillery, where I met Dan, the owner of the distillery, and we had a nice chat as always. I love to hear all the stories from Dan. He's very passionate about the whiskey, and he's very wise man. I always love to chat with him, and he gave me to try something unusual, to be honest, kind of unusual whiskey, because this whiskey was a blended malt whiskey. So you might be curious, what do you mean about a blended malt whiskey from the Cotswolds Distillery? So in some point, Cotswolds Distillery decided to commemorate Jim Swan as a person, the famous person in the whiskey industry, who helped the Cotswolds Distillery to grow up, and he also helped Milk and Honey Distillery and from Israel, and that was the cooperation between those two distilleries. So this blended malt is, I think there's a half and half Cotswolds whiskey and Milk and Honey whiskey. Came from the STR casks, bottled at 50% of ABV. It was quite limited. I think there's 700 bottles available. No age statement whiskey, but I need to say I love whiskey from the STR casks. I think the one of my favorites whiskey is Cotswolds Founder's Choice from the STR casks. And I need to say, in this case, this whiskey was full of, on the nose, loads of red fruits, loads of tropical fruits, which came from the Cotswolds spirit. Beautiful sweet, full of chocolate. On the taste, same, red fruits, loads of chocolate, cocoa, caramel, with that touch of that, you know, tropical fruit. Beautiful blended malt, to be honest. And I was also surprised how good this whiskey is. Going further, I met Circumstance Distillery stand. When I spoke to Andrew, Andrew told me about the distillery. He told me about the new whiskies which coming on the market now, about the experiments which they still do even if they start releasing the whiskies on the market. I love that experiment bottles before they release the whiskies, like corn spirit, oat spirit, barley spirit, wheat spirit, or even that rice spirit. I've been a big fan of these spirits. I still have some bottles on my shelf, and the whiskey which I have tried there, that was actually single grain whiskey. The mash is a combination of malted and unmalted barley, wheat and rye, and this whiskey was 3 years old, 36 months, matured in the 60 liters Andean oak casks. And that intrigues me, that pulled me in. I was very happy to try this whiskey. On the nose, very oily whiskey with loads of raisins, loads of kind of pine notes as well, loads of citrus like orange, like some lemons maybe. On the palate, sweet, caramel, vanilla, with that piney aspects, with the raisins. Beautiful whiskey, quite complex for 3 years old whiskey, I need to say. And yeah, that was actually the nice experience, and I'm gonna remember this whiskey because that was quite impressive, to be honest. My next stop, English Whisky Company, the oldest English distillery actually, and I met Chris, and we had a nice chat because I met Chris a few years back when I visited distillery, and he gave me to try something special, whiskey created only for the festival. There was only 36 bottles at the festival, and that was single cask whiskey, 10 years old, whiskey matured in a virgin oak and then transferred to the Pedro Jimenez cask, bottled at 57.8% of ABV. And as I mentioned, that was festival exclusive bottling. And I need to say, I have never ever tried whiskey that thick and oily as this one. If you know PX wine, which is very thick and oily, beautiful, viscous. In this case, this whiskey was quite similar to the PX wine. Very oily, very heavy, loads of chocolate, raisins, loads of cocoa powder and coffee. Thing is, which makes me very happy, to be honest, because usually if you have that kind of heavy whiskey, that kind of PX influence can cover the distillery signature. But in this case, I was able to taste distillery spirit. So there was kind of herbal notes, kind of piney notes, which was very nice. So even this quite heavy, full casks, yeah, this whiskey still kept that, you know, distillery signature. That was very lovely whiskey. And the next stop, and the last actually, distillery which I have visited, Henston Distillery, where I was able to spoke with Chris and Flo, and yeah, that was a nice time because I met Chris a few years back. He sent me some samples of whiskey to try, and I think I've been reviewing on my channel some whiskies from the Henston Distillery. But I was very curious, not a whiskey, but this kind of signature of Henston Distillery, which is Old Dog Corn whiskey. If you are a fan of the Henston Distillery, you know one of the first releases from that distillery was the Old Dog Corn liquor, which was based on the spirit matured in the casks. But in this case, we have actually 3 years old spirit matured in the new oak American casks, 41% of ABV, and I find this signature taste and smell of the Henston Distillery very heavy, piney, pine needles, you know, the pine aspects of distillery, with loads of sweet caramel, vanilla, popcorn, caramel popcorn, salty caramel popcorn. Lovely spirit, lovely whiskey, I need to say. On the palate, exactly the same, that kind of signature spirit of the Henston Distillery, and I was really happy to try this new actually released, because as I said previously, there was Old Dog Corn liquor, now we've got Old Dog Corn whiskey, something new, very nice, and I was very happy to try this one. So that is my experience from this year English Whisky Festival from Birmingham. I hope you like this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed to watch this video. Just remember, leave thumbs up, click subscribe button. If you like my content, if you like my videos, Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for your comments. Guys, just remember one important thing. Take care about yourselves, about your families. Drink your whiskeys, enjoy your life, and see you soon. Bye.